Welcome to Honest Car Reviews. My name is Eric and this is the Jaguar I-Pace, the first electric vehicle from Jaguar. Saying that Jaguar is late to the EV party is an understatement. But so are most of the other car manufacturers as well. The I-Pace was launched in 2018, reaching its 3-year mark now. It is not only itself that needs to be reviewed, but also how it has stood against the newly launched Mustang Mach-E, Volkswagen ID.4, Skoda Enyaq, Kia EV6. The list goes on and on. Even though this might look large on screen, it is actually a mid-sized SUV/crossover. And this is the twin engine, so one engine in front and one engine in the rear. So it's 4-wheel drive, 400 horsepower combined output, 700 Newton meters, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.5 seconds. And there is a 320 horsepower option, but there's only one battery option, so 90 kilowatt hour. The 320 horsepower model costs about 85,000 euros, and this one as a base price costs about 95,000 euro, being an SE version. One letter, the H from being the max out version, the HSE, is a base price of 95,000 euros, but this is of course has some extra options, so it slides just over 100,000 euro. The I-Pace must deliver something exceptional apart from the exclusivity tag, the price tag that comes with it being a Jaguar. It has some really nice aerodynamic trickery as well. Here's an opening, so air goes here and goes up through here. But this is a really smart way of utilizing the fact that you don't have an engine that takes up so much space in the front. In the rear you have a really big spoiler as well, the U-shaped rear window, and then this really thin lip. Down here you have a diffuser that actually goes quite far in. The I-Pace also have electric closing doors that work really well. When you press that button, it not only retracts the handles, it also closes the car. Really handy when you have stuff in your arms. You just nudge this little button here, it opens or closes. But you can also use the key as well. Of course, you close it and you open it as well. This is fake, believe it or not, but Jaguar has really done a solid job trying to mimic a IC grill that has openings in them. The frunk is quite unique because of this opening. The opening is actually going here and it goes here, so even though we have opening, they have worked around it. One thing that I found was not that well. Look at this line. It is actually should be mounted here, but it has come loose. When I picked this car up, it had about 2,500 kilometers, and that is not a huge amount of distance. On the contrary, especially for a press car. I think that's all for the exterior. I'll go to the rear. Not a huge rear compartment, but not a small one. Of course, it's thanks to the battery sitting underneath that raises the floor a bit. But here you can see the cables. To store them, you have this little neat little storage space. That rear diffuser is really prominent of the exterior, I have to say, and this really sloping rear. The action of the handles is also really nice, as well as the closing mechanism. the rear seat is in an extreme setting. The left seat is less extreme, and you have a solid plastic part that makes it a bit uncomfortable. So here I have to sit a bit to the side. There's an indent down here. I like that they have a bit of an indent on the bench, but also on the back here. And I mean, I sit fairly comfortable. There's a huge panoramic sunroof. I mean, huge. When you open the door, this one will warn me if there is an oncoming car or an oncoming bicycle or something like that. This doesn't have 4-zone climate control, which cars should have in this price point. The upgraded Meridian sound system has some great clarity, but especially it has some amazing warmth to it. I'll get into the driver's seat, or first I get into the left seat to see how good that is to sit in. It's much better. My knees are not hitting at all. I also like that this panoramic sunroof is toned. So even though the sun shines outside, it doesn't get that hot inside, because a panoramic sunroof often means that it gets really hot inside. And in the driver's seat, and first thing that I notice is a digital rear view mirror. I really like this layout. Drive, neutral, reverse, park. Simple buttons, great action on them. The car has standard seats. There are sport seats, but I think that these are of course not that bolstered, but they are really comfortable. I really like that they have a dedicated climate control area. If I want to increase the temperature, decrease, really simple. But if I want to access the heated seats, I push this button. I can increase and decrease. Go back, or I can pull it to set the fan speed as well. A really nice infotainment system. Sharp, it is fast, responding, and it's quite easy to read and navigate. Digital gauge cluster, you can have it in different layouts. This is the 2-gauge layout. You can also have the 1-gauge layout. And I think that this is plenty for everything that you need. The refresh rate is not that fast on the camera. And if you go to the regular rear view mirror, the curve that I talk about in the rear is so prominent that you need to use the digital rear view mirror to be able to see what's happening behind you. Of course, you have the side mirrors as well. And I have direct torque, so I can drive out here without any problems. Active cruise control works fairly well, but since the car has so much power, how the power is applied can feel a bit jerky sometimes. As is common with electric vehicles, it is really stiff. You can feel all the undulations on the road. Reminds me of the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge suspension. This might be a bit more sophisticated, not as planted maybe. I feel that this is one of the best EV suspensions, and I think that they made it that stiff just because there's so much power that needs to be taken care of. And in the city, the max range is 470 kilometers, but on the highway it is less than 400. This price, this size of a battery, of course it has a really powerful engine and it's really quick, but I mean 400 kilometers comparison with the new Kia EV6 and the new EQS, I mean, I think that that's not good enough. Same is the charging speeds, maximum 100 kilowatt hour. Ionity now delivers 150 kilowatt hours, and competitors can use that amount of charging. So this from 15% to 80% takes about 45 minutes, something like that. If you set the speed and quickly release the gas pedal, it can be a bit jerky when there is a transition from the gas pedal to the cruise control. It weighs about 2.2 tons, and making a car that weighs so much go that quick, I mean, whew, that's pretty special. When I park, feels like the commands that I input is not translated into what I expected from the I-Pace, but now that I'm getting used to everything, works quite fine. Yeah, it is quick, no question about it. Let's put it into echo. The refresh rate of the digital gauge cluster is way too slow. If you look at the power, you can see how slow the refresh is, and that's no good. This has crashed quite a few times. It just turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off by itself. Is more upscale than the Mach-E and the ID4 and a lot of other competitors. The price of 100,000 euros for no class leading range, but for the Jaguar interior, the Jaguar design, is questionable at best. But you can't deny that Jaguar has made more than a decent attempt at making a really good electric vehicle. And that's my final review for the Jaguar I-Pace. My name is Eric. See you next time.